Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a hobby haul, well, however you call it. I can't wait to show you what I got as well as show you what I made. That way you could see how this yarn works. But first, make sure you subscribe and watch to the end. Alright, so if you haven't bought from Hobbii or Hobbii, I don't know how to say it. We're going to go back and forth the whole video. This yarn is from Copenhagen, so it does take a while to get here. Not too long though for being so far away. So the shipping can be expensive, the yarn can be expensive, but I found most of these on sale. And then if you spent $19, it was free shipping. So that definitely wasn't hard to do because they have a huge variety of yarns. And I've seen so many videos where they're sponsored. This one's not sponsored. I felt like I just needed to try it for myself, see if it was worth the hype. So here is what I got. The first thing was Baby Snuggle. And then I'm gonna see if I could find the names to the yarn, because on the label it doesn't say the name, it just says like a color number. But my first impression is that this is one of the softest yarns ever. It's so nice. And then it's a size 6 yarn, and they come with I think it's 131 yards. So just for reference, in case you like to compare that to other brands. And like I said, this is just color number 3, no name, but I swear on the website they had names. But it's just a soft pink color. I feel like this is one of the basic colors that you need for making plushies, whether it's for a huge detail or even small details like the cheeks, nose, or even like a little bow. So I definitely need to stock up on this because I was all out of my Big Twist Posh. So I cannot wait to try this. And then I got this yarn on sale. It was $4. I don't remember the exact price. It was kind of random, like $4.65. But anyways, I want to say the full price is like $9, which to me is a little bit too much money. But since it was on sale and there was free shipping, I thought this was the perfect opportunity for me to finally try hobby yarn. And then I like chenille yarn a lot for plushies, so I thought I would try Baby Snuggle. Especially it's still kind of up in the air what's going to happen with like Big Twist Posh, which was one of my favorites, chenille yarns. So it's time for me to try new ones. Alright, and then the next skein I got, this was also Baby Snuggle. And then this was like a peachy apricot, like a skin tone color. And this was also on sale. It was the same price as the other skein of Baby Snuggle, that light pink. And you know, I've been making dolls lately. There's my Tinkerbell doll. I have a free tutorial if you want to make your own Tinkerbell. I made that with the Just Chenille yarn from the dollar store. It's Premier Yarns. But I wanted to kind of try it with a different yarn in case I wanted a different size. I do enjoy the Just Chenille yarn from Premier Yarns and from the dollar store, but it's not like my number one favorite. So I kind of felt like I needed to try something different, especially since I've been into making like people dolls lately, not just like animals. So that's why I got this. So it's the exact same size, and once again there's no color name, it just says a number. I swear on the website it had a color name. I also wanted to try this out because it does seem like Hobbii Yarn has more selection for skin tone colors than Premier Parfait. So I'll definitely let you guys know how this yarn works up, and I can't wait to use them together. Okay, and then here's also what I got. The label came ripped off, but I got Toucan. This was not on sale. I paid $9 for it, which is kind of ridiculous. You guys know I like to save money on yarn, but I really want to try Toucan, and I didn't know if I was going to order from Hobbii again, if I ended up not liking it or whatever. So I thought I would just go ahead and make the splurge. And I wanted a really pretty hot pink color for different projects coming up. And it's the same thickness as Baby Snuggle, but Baby Snuggle is definitely softer. So what's nice is that you can use them interchangeably or use them like together in a project. Because you know, sometimes the colors you want are sold out. When I shopped this sale, some of the colors I did want and was planning on getting were sold out. So it's nice where you could kind of switch it up, you know, maybe Toucan has the color you want, maybe Baby Snuggle has the color you want, and you could use it together to complete your project. So I thought that was really nice about Hobbii. That's what I'm really liking about it so far, is that there's a nice variety. And then the last one I got, this was also on sale, was Toucan Fine. I know Michaels has like a skinny chenille yarn, so it kind of seems like it's an up and coming thing. So I thought I would give it a try, see if I like it, see if this trend sticks or if it's gonna fade. I'm kind of curious. So it's definitely a lot thinner than the other chenille yarns I have. And stay tuned, I am gonna do a comparison of all these yarns. And it's a size 4, just for reference. And you are getting more yards, but the plushies are going to work up smaller since it's a thinner yarn, so just keep that in mind. But it is the same amount of weight of yarn. So here it is next to Baby Snuggle. You could definitely see that there's a difference in the thickness. So you definitely can't use these two together. Also, this Toucan Fine is just not as soft as Baby Snuggle, and it's definitely more dense, where the other ones are kind of a little more like fluffy and puffy and like squishy, if that makes sense. This one is a little more dense, but it's still very soft and I can't wait to work with it. Here's a comparison of the Toucan Fine and the Baby Snuggle. There's definitely a size difference, and I just personally, I wouldn't use them together. Alright, and then in this next part, that was the haul. Now I just like to compare it to other yarns. Here's Premier Parfait Chunky on the left, and then Hobbii Baby Snuggle on the right. You could see they look the same thickness, they look the same like consistency as far as like shine and like fluffiness and things like that. You know, some are more fibery. They're so similar. I would definitely use them together in a project. And then here is the Toucan and the Baby Snuggle. Once again, very similar, same size and everything. Like I said, Baby Snuggle is softer. Toucan, I would say, is a little bit more dense. So if you prefer that, definitely get the Toucan. And then this lavender shade is the Hobbii Lobby Adorable. And there it is, right between Baby Snuggle and Toucan. And you could see, once again, it's very similar. But as you can see, the Hobbii Lobby one is like a little bit like more fibery. But it's not super noticeable. So if you're in a pinch, you ran out of yarn, you could always run to Hobbii Lobby just to replace it instead of waiting for the Toucan to come in the mail. They're very similar. And then once again, Baby Snuggle with Toucan. You could definitely use them together along with the Adorable from Hobbii Lobby. I know this is confusing because I'm talking about the Hobbii or Hobbii yarn and the Hobbii Lobby yarn. Sorry about that. So as you can see, they're very similar. These yarns are a lot softer based on feel, and then as I showed you the ends of the Hobbii Lobby yarn, it's kind of like fibery and shedding. This one isn't as bad as that. So if you run out of a color and you don't want to wait for shipping, you could run to Hobbii Lobby and get Adorable to finish a project. And then let's compare this to Big Twist Posh. Here it is right in the middle. As you can see, Big Twist Posh is thinner. It is size 5, and then the Hobbii yarns are size 6. And the Big Twist is definitely more dense than those Hobbii yarns. You probably could use them together because the Hobbii yarns are just slightly bigger, but you're going to have to make some adjustments. It's not going to be as easy as using Premier with it or Adorable with it. You'll probably have to adjust your hook size and things like that to make sure your project ends up being cohesive. Alright, and then here on the left is Premier Just Chenille from the Dollar Tree, and then we have the Toucan Fine. I want to see how those compare. The Just Chenille is definitely thicker, and then we have Baby Bear from Big Twist, and then Big Twist Posh, and same thing, Baby Bear is slightly thicker. So once again, you probably could use them together, but you're gonna have to make some adjustments. It's not gonna be super easy to use them together because you're gonna have to, adjust your hook size and different things like that. And then here is the Toucan Fine or Slim, whatever it was called, with the Big Twist Posh. And then here it is with the Just Chenille. As you can see, it's a lot more dense than the Just Chenille. The Just Chenille is kind of fibery and fluffy, whereas the Toucan Slim is not like that. So now you know, just for reference. So now let's get crocheting. So now we know how they compare to other yarns. Now I like to crochet and show you how they work up. And so we're going to start with that toucan fine. I was just going to do a quick, easy, no sew pattern, a gummy bear. I'll link it below. And then one of the first things I do is I always like to, and I'm using a 4mm hook, is I like to do the magic ring test, especially with chenille yarn. I know a lot of us have wasted a lot of time trying to make the magic ring work with chenille yarn, and we ended up wasting yarn, ends up breaking and shedding everywhere. So let's put it to the test, see how it works with the magic ring. Right, so here we are, the moment of truth. Let's see if this will do the magic ring. Leave a nice tight pull. Oh, in there. That was so simple. So that's always a huge plus. And then I like to do a little bit of a frog test, because some yarns, you know, they just shed so bad and it's almost hard to work with after you frog it. But it looks like obviously there's a few dents in it, but you could still use it. It's definitely still usable after you frog it. So I really do like this yarn. The only thing is that these slim chenille yarns, there's not a lot of them, so you're definitely gonna have to keep ordering from Hobbii. And here's what we're making so far. We're doing a no sew gummy bear, and it's really cute. And then I didn't really need to sew it. I just kind of sewed, like when I fastened it up, just sewed the last part shut, and it didn't shed too bad. So I really did like this yarn. That's the only thing that's bad, is that those skinny chenille yarns are really hard to find. The projects are going to work up smaller. I'm going to compare this with another size yarn later, this gummy bear. And I probably would have used a smaller hook. The 4mm I felt like was too big. There's a few holes in it. So I definitely would use like maybe a 3 or 3.5, but I loved it. Alright, and now it's time to do the same thing, but except with the baby snuggle. And I'm just going to use the pink yarn. I don't have anything in mind for like that apricot color yarn. So we'll just use the pink yarn from Baby Snuggle. We'll see if it will magic ring. As you know, these chenille yarns can be a little bit complicated with the magic ring. So let's put it to the test. Okay, so here we are, the moment of truth. Will it shut? Alright, so far, so, oh, never mind. I ended up pulling it from the yarn. Alright, it worked. Yeah, it was a little tight, so definitely make sure your stitches are not too tight. It wasn't the smoothest, but it wasn't super difficult either, so if your stitches are too tight, you're definitely gonna have some difficulty. So I'm really happy that magic ringed, if that's a word, but make sure you leave a long yarn tail, because I was pulling it, some of it was started shedding, so if it was too short, like there was nothing to pull. So make sure you leave enough of a yarn tail for the magic ring so you could pull it shut. Otherwise, if it's just a very short tail, you're just gonna end up kind of ripping it and it won't end up closing shut. So just a tip. I'll probably do chain 2 next time, just because it wasn't the easiest, and you know, I just kind of like to save time when I'm crocheting. The more I can crochet, the better. Alright, and then let's go ahead and do the magic ring test again, but for the toucan yarn. And at the end I'll show you what I made with Baby Snuggle and with toucan. So let's get crocheting. Okay, here we are, once again, the moment of truth. Let's see if this will close shut. So far, so good. It looks like a little bit is kind of getting caught at the end. It might be my stitches, it might be the yarn, probably a little bit of both. But yeah, this one's just not closing shut. So like I said, make sure your stitches aren't too tight. I do have a tendency to crochet very tight stitches. And then while we're frogging it, let's see how this yarn frogs up. Definitely not as good as the slim toucan, but there's a few dents in it, and some of them are pretty big. So definitely, if you crochet very tight, maybe this isn't the best yarn for you. And if you frog it a lot, if you're kind of a perfectionist, maybe don't get this yarn. I thought it was very soft. It does shed a lot, especially when you frog it and if you crochet too tight. So definitely like watch your tension with this. If you're like me and you have really tight stitches for some reason, it's just good to keep in mind. It's still a very nice yarn though. So yeah, let's give it another try. So as you can see, I'm still kind of struggling here. So with this yarn, definitely do the chain 2 method or whatever alternate method you use for the magic ring, because it's just going to make it easier. It's really hard to pull shut, and then when you frog it, there's a lot of gaps. So definitely just save yourself time, do the chain 2. Alright, so here's what I made, and this is with the baby snuggle. I decided to make a pink frog. I thought it turned out really cute. I've done the pattern before. It's a very soft yarn, very easy to work with. So I really like this yarn. I just wish it was more readily available. You know, it's kind of a pain having to wait for your yarn to come all the way from Copenhagen. But I loved it. It worked up so nice. And then that's the same frog. I made it before with Big Twist Paws, just for reference if you want to see how each one turned out with a different yarn. And when I try a new yarn, I always do a pattern I've done before. That just makes it easier for me. That way, if something goes wrong, I know it's the yarn, not necessarily the pattern. And then with the toucan, I made the gummy bear, the same one I made earlier. This yarn definitely did shed a little bit, and then I would have used a smaller hook. I used a 5mm, but there are definitely some gaps in this gummy bear. So maybe a 4.5 or a 4mm with toucan, just because for my liking there's just a little bit too many gaps. But I still like the yarn. It was so easy to work with. So let me know if you tried the Hobbii yarn before, and thanks so much for watching.